has never been a fair battlefield. You can play clean, stay loyal, and still find someone ready to cut corners just to get ahead of you. You can sharpen every skill you have, yet watch someone far less prepared take the position you worked for. That's not tragedy. It's the hidden architecture of life. But the people who learn to read these unfair rules don't just survive. They rise above. They move like shadows, unseen, underestimated, yet always decisive. This is the birth of something deeper than intelligence. It's forged in betrayal, humiliation, and moments where most people break. But instead of breaking, you turn pressure into clarity. This is strategic darkness, the ability to listen more than you speak, observe more than you react, and strike only when the timing slices clean. Checkers players live loudly. Chess players live quietly. Before we begin, remember, this knowledge is a shield, not a weapon. Protect yourself. Never prey on the innocent. And now, the first layer is about to unfold. Ready? Influence begins when people stop assuming they fully understand you. When you choose what to reveal and what to leave untouched, you create a quiet tension that pulls others closer. Most people speak just to fill silence. You speak only when your words have purpose. When you leave small blanks in your stories, people fill them with their imagination. And imagination is far more powerful than explanation. This isn't deception. It's intelligent storytelling. The one who rushes to explain everything hands away their power piece by piece. Instead, share in fragments. Let your intentions stay slightly out of reach. Let your answers be calm, brief, and intentional. Not mysterious, just selective. The less predictable you become, the more memorable you become. And the more memorable you become, the more control you gain over how others read you. But this is only one layer of strategic presence. What comes next changes how people experience you entirely. There isn't just one version of you. There are many, and each appears depending on the environment you step into. People misunderstand this and assume it's being fake. But think about water. It shifts shape depending on the container, yet never stops being water. You do the same. You speak differently to a mentor than you do to a childhood friend. You carry yourself differently in a boardroom than you do during laughter at home. This flexibility becomes powerful only when done consciously. Study the person in front of you. Notice how they think, how they make decisions, what they fear, and what they respond to. Some minds want logic. Others want emotion. Some crave vision. Others require structure. When you communicate in the listener's language, resistance softens. But a warning, never bend so much that you lose your core. Adaptation without identity becomes chaos. Next, we step into a trait that frees you from invisible chains. Imagine being in situations where no outcome can shake your core, where losing something doesn't make you crumble, and winning doesn't make you desperate. That's detachment, not coldness, not apathy, freedom. Most people suffer because they cling too tightly to approval, to relationships, to validation, to outcomes. When your happiness depends on a specific response from someone else, they control you without even trying. Detachment removes that leash. You still care, but you're no longer enslaved by expectation. You choose relationships because you want them, not because you fear being alone. You pursue goals with intensity, but not with desperation. The paradox? The less you need, the more power you hold. A calm mind sees opportunities that anxious people miss, and a person who can walk away without bitterness is someone no one can manipulate. But once you free your emotions, the next skill teaches you how to influence without ever speaking. People think power is shown through volume, commands, arguments, dominance. But true power is often quiet, almost invisible. Silent leverage is the art of positioning yourself so effectively that your presence alone changes the room. You don't demand respect. You behave in ways that make others offer it willingly. You don't rush to fill silence. You allow others to expose themselves with unnecessary words. You don't argue for authority. You become the person who solves problems while others complain. This creates a subtle shift. People start depending on you without you ever asking for trust. That dependence becomes your leverage. The secret? You're patient. You let time reveal weaknesses. Let others underestimate you. Let situations unfold until your advantage becomes undeniable. Power earned quietly lasts longer than power taken loudly. But influence grows even deeper when you learn to reflect people's hidden truths back to them. Every person carries invisible emotions: fear, insecurity, pride, longing. Most never speak these truths directly, but they leak through tone, posture, and the small cracks in conversation. When you listen beyond the surface, you start hearing what they really mean. This is psychological echo. Instead of responding to words, you respond to the emotions beneath them. Someone complaining about work might actually be craving recognition. Someone angry may be terrified of losing control. Someone bragging may be begging for validation. When you echo the unspoken need, it sounds like you want to feel appreciated, or it seems you've been carrying more pressure than people notice. They feel understood at a level most people never reach. And once someone feels understood by you, they naturally open up, follow your lead, and trust your guidance. But trust becomes even stronger when people can't fully categorize your morals. Life isn't a simple choice between good and bad. Some decisions that appear kind cause harm later. Some choices that seem harsh protect people from deeper consequences. This is where ambiguous morality emerges, not as cruelty, but as mature decision-making. You don't choose actions based on what makes you look virtuous. You choose based on what creates the best long-term outcome. Sometimes you must end a friendship that's draining someone. Sometimes you must speak uncomfortable truths. Sometimes protecting the bigger picture requires temporary discomfort. Ethical strength isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about standing firm in decisions that aim for the greater good, even when others misunderstand you. But there must be limits. Ambiguous morality becomes dangerous when used for selfishness. Define your non-negotiable values and let your flexibility operate only outside those lines. Now, with morals balanced, it's time to control the information people receive about you. People today overshare their lives as if attention equals power. But attention fades while mystery lasts. Controlled exposure turns your personal information into a strategic resource. You reveal pieces of yourself intentionally, not too much, not too little. A small detail here, a subtle insight there. You let people discover you instead of dumping your entire history on them. What you withhold shapes perceptions just as strongly as what you reveal. In professional environments, you don't show your full skill set immediately. You unveil it as needed, creating the illusion of continuous growth. In relationships, you allow closeness to develop gradually, not instantly. And online, you manage your image carefully, knowing every post becomes permanent. Control your narrative, or others will write it for you. But even with a strong narrative, the next skill transforms your efficiency completely. Most people waste energy trying to look right rather than trying to win outcomes. They fight over small arguments, chase approval, and drown in busyness that produces nothing. But when you become outcome-focused, the noise disappears. You judge decisions not by emotion, but by effectiveness. You don't enter conflicts unless they serve a purpose. You don't debate to satisfy ego. You communicate to create results. If a strategy fails, you adjust instead of clinging to your pride. If an approach works, you double down without needing applause. This mindset saves enormous time. It makes you appear calm, efficient, and unbothered while others chase validation. But outcome obsession must stay within ethical boundaries. Results mean nothing if you lose your integrity achieving them. Yet even results need supportive habits. Now we move into deeper layers. Your mind becomes powerful when it stops reacting instantly. Most people hear something offensive and explode. They see a setback and collapse. They feel ignored and start overthinking. You pause. A small delay, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, is enough to separate instinct from strategy. In that silence, you choose your response rather than being controlled by emotion. Emotional stillness is not suppression. It's mastery. It's the ability to feel everything without letting anything dictate your behavior. When others shout, you observe. When others panic, you calculate. When others crave attention, you stay composed. This calm energy unsettles people. They can't predict you, and unpredictability is a form of power. But emotional control becomes unstoppable when paired with environmental intelligence. Every room has an energy, alliances, insecurities, motives, silent tension. Most people walk through spaces without sensing any of it, but you start noticing patterns. Who interrupts whom? Who stays quiet? Who seeks approval? Who secretly competes? You study group dynamics the way a strategist studies a battlefield. You see which people influence decisions, which follow trends, and which pretend to hold power. Environmental intelligence prevents mistakes. You don't reveal sensitive information around those who gossip. You don't challenge someone insecure in front of others. You don't trust loudly confident people until you've heard their silence. By reading the room, you move more effectively, choosing not just the right actions, but the right timing. And once timing becomes your ally, your persuasion becomes effortless. Persuasion isn't about forcing agreement. It's about guiding someone's mind to a conclusion that feels like their own idea. You use subtle influence, questions instead of commands, suggestions instead of demands. What do you think would happen if? sounds harmless, yet it plants the seed of a new thought. People resist pressure, but follow momentum. When someone feels heard, they soften. When they feel respected, they become open. You aren't manipulating. You're aligning motivations. Each person has a key: pride, fear, ambition, loyalty, logic, comfort. Once you find it, communication becomes smooth. The goal isn't control. The goal is cooperation that benefits everyone involved. But persuasion needs protection, because not everyone deserves access to your mind. You will encounter people who thrive on draining your energy: complainers, manipulators, attention seekers, emotional parasites. Dark intelligence requires boundaries sharper than steel. You choose where your time goes, where your energy flows, and who gets access to your mental world. Isolation isn't strength, but selective connection is. You don't argue with people committed to misunderstanding you. You don't negotiate with those who twist your words. You don't attach yourself to people who only take. The more disciplined your boundaries, the stronger your presence becomes. People respect what you protect. And after boundaries comes one of the rarest skills: strategic unpredictability. If people can predict you, they can control you. Patterns create vulnerabilities, so you learn to break your own patterns. Sometimes you respond quickly, other times you wait. Sometimes you're friendly, sometimes you're neutral. Sometimes you reveal a plan, most times you don't. You're consistent in values, but flexible in behavior. Predictability makes you easy to read, but controlled unpredictability keeps others cautious. They never know exactly how you'll react, so they hesitate before crossing you. This isn't instability, it's strategy. You remain calm, but not easily mapped. Reliable, but not obvious. Next comes a trait that makes your growth unstoppable: self-accountability. People love blaming circumstances, luck, timing, or others for their failures. But you stop doing that. Radical accountability is uncomfortable, but it transforms you fast. When you own every mistake, every decision, and every outcome, you also gain the power to change them. Excuses protect ego, but destroy progress. Accountability stings, but it builds mastery. Instead of saying, "They didn't support me," you say, "How can I become someone who doesn't need their support?" Instead of saying, "I failed because of them," you ask, "What skill was I missing?" This mindset turns every setback into a weapon, and these weapons grow sharper when you guard your long-term vision. Most people chase short-term pleasure, validation, comfort, quick wins. But those who operate in strategic darkness think in years, not minutes. You see the bigger pattern behind every choice. You delay gratification, knowing the long path leads to power the short path can't offer. You don't brag about your goals. You build them in silence. You don't chase fast recognition. You create slow, undeniable proof. Vision gives direction, even when motivation fades. When others quit, you adjust. When others get distracted, you refocus. When others celebrate too early, you continue refining. And vision becomes magnetic when paired with emotional neutrality. Emotional neutrality doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means your emotions never leak into decisions that demand logic. You don't take things personally. You don't react out of anger. You don't over-celebrate wins or drown in losses. You stay level. A neutral emotional baseline protects you from manipulation. People can't provoke what doesn't rise. They can't guilt-trip what doesn't bite. They can't confuse someone who stays calm beneath pressure. This neutrality gives you clarity, true clarity. Clarity then drives the next trait, invisible discipline. The strongest discipline is the one no one sees. You don't announce your routines, your sacrifices, or your late-night planning sessions. You build silently, letting results speak later. Invisible discipline turns you into someone people call lucky, because they never witness the preparation behind your moves. While others rely on motivation, you rely on structure. While they wait to feel inspired, you act. Your consistency becomes your secret advantage, and discipline becomes power when paired with strategic patience. Patience isn't passive. It's one of the sharpest weapons. You don't rush opportunities. You position yourself so opportunities rush toward you. You don't force timing. You wait for conditions that make success inevitable. Most people lose because they can't wait. They fold early, speak too soon, act too fast. But you move only when the timing benefits you. This patience confuses enemies, calms allies, and strengthens decisions. And now, everything comes together in the final transformation. You've walked through the inner architecture of strategic intelligence, observing, adapting, protecting, influencing, and rising without noise. But knowledge means nothing unless it becomes behavior. Choose one trait and practice it for the next week. Not all 8, just one. Small adjustments compound into major transformation. The goal isn't to become manipulative, but unmanipulable. Not to control others, but to control yourself. Not to dominate the world, but to navigate it with clarity, calm, and power. Dark intelligence isn't darkness. It's awareness sharpened by experience. And once you master it, you stop being the hunted and become the strategist of your own destiny. Now ask yourself, which trait will you activate first?